Tag TV and Tag Radio be seen and heard by both technology users and technology producers throughout the state of Georgia and around the world. Low cost, big benefits, powerhouse online branded video and audio has arrived. Tag TV, Tag Radio, there's a lot more to know. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. This is all about serial entrepreneurship. No, not the Cocoa Puffs or Lucky Charms kind. A 19th century French economist is believed to have coined the word entrepreneur. He defined an entrepreneur as one who undertakes an enterprise acting as an intermediary between capital and labor, one that shifts economic resources out of the lower and into the higher productivity and greater yield. Over the decades, terms like creative destruction attempted to describe the role of entrepreneurs in changing once accepted business norms. Well, bring in thinkers with uncanny vision or risk-taking, passion-consumed riverboat gamblers. Current realities, and in some cases virtual realities, has now created the serial entrepreneur. Greetings, everyone. It's Thursday, May 19, 2011, and this is Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. Serial entrepreneurs have been a special focus for TAG in general and in prior editions specifically on Tech Talk, from the Economic Gardening Initiative in Savannah to the upcoming GRA TAG Business Launch Competition. A spectrum of existing educational, motivational, and training initiatives, events, and activities. TAG has been an undisputed source and resource for beginning entrepreneurs all the way through to the Technology Hall of Fame filled with multiple success startup entrepreneur stories. Up to the Tech Talk on serial entrepreneurship, a leader who not only lives the life of a serial entrepreneur, she wrote a book on it. Bajorek Daneker, CEO of Wright Advisors, formerly president of B.D. Donaldson Publishing, an Atlanta-based publishing company focused on healthcare information. She authored the highly acclaimed The Compassionate Caregiver series. Recently, Bonnie released her 7th book, Climb, a collection of powerful life experiences of women entrepreneurs. The book was written in collaboration with Sandy Hoffman, president of Women in Technology, and a highly respected women executive who has mentored many of today's successful technology industry entrepreneurs. Bonnie spent over 10 years in technology consulting and also created 3 successful startups, which at the Gozuela School of Business at Emory University, earning an MBA, she was voted most entrepreneurial by her classmates. Tech Talk takes a look at serial entrepreneurship and just what makes the entrepreneur, from pitfalls to measuring success, as Tino speaks with Bajorek Daneker.
Bonnie, thank you for joining me on Tech Talk today.
Thank you for having me, Tino.
So you recently sold one company and started another company called Wright Advisors. So you're truly a serial entrepreneur. And so the first question I have is it seems to be, I think we all know it's a difficult time now to be an entrepreneur, I would think, with increased competition, the economy, hopefully we're recovering. Confidence of consumers have been higher at many points in the last 100 years. So what prompts someone to start a company right now, to be an entrepreneur?
You know, this is my 5th business, and I've started companies in different economic environments. But what I've really found to be true every time that I look to start a company and every time that I've talked with others about starting a company is that there is some kind of passion behind that, whether it resides in the market opportunity or you have some technological event that sparks a business idea. You see that there's a clear need for a product or service. And for me, it's a very obvious sight. It's something that I see that someone should have brought to the market before. And I particularly know when it's a good idea, when there's already competition out there. Some people are really laying the groundwork for me to do it a little bit better, faster, cheaper, or to a different audience. And I have to say that it's much easier to create something in a second generation kind of perception than starting with a brand new idea and not being sure if your market is going to be as receptive as you want it to be. But the bottom line is definitely that you have to have passion behind it, because there are going to be a lot of naysayers and a lot of obstacles to overcome, and you have to have that internal fortitude to keep going.
And I think, too, would you say that, I know some people have said to us, because we talk with a lot of entrepreneurs, that sometimes in an economy that maybe isn't at its most robust period, it's not a bad time, might be a better time to start a company. What do you think about that?
Well, it's definitely risk versus reward. There's always going to be a risk when you start a new venture. And whether you're bootstrapping it yourself, you're paying for all the cost yourself, or you're asking for venture capital, you really need to understand that people are gun-shy about investing their money. They're really looking at what are the essentials and non-essentials for their personal consumption and their business use, and they're trying to be smarter. They really are trying to learn the lessons of the past 3 years and really wanting to utilize the resources they have in the best possible ways. And what I think is that those people who want to be entrepreneurs now, they understand this business environment, and they can see that people are going to be a little cautious. They're going to ask a lot more questions, and they're going to really sit on making that decision to make sure it's the right one. And what that does is forces us entrepreneurs to have more of our ducks in a row. We really have to have sound business plans. We have to take time on our financial projections. We really have to have an advisory board in place just to make sure that we have that support and that backing so that we can convince not only our investors but our buyers that we are a viable entity and we're going to give them a product or service that matters.
You mentioned a few things that an entrepreneur needs to have, like an advisory board, for example. Let's look at the other side of it. What are some of the pitfalls?
Oh, absolutely. We must have advisors in our lives to help us actually look for some of these pitfalls, but some of the ones that I can tell you about today are very common. First of all, trying to do everything yourself. And as entrepreneurs, we think we have the great idea. We want to follow through with it. We think we're the best ones for the job. And so what happens is a lot of us get burned out, or we make mistakes because we don't have the expertise in a particular area. The way to try to circumvent that is to really think about what can be delegated. I heard someone say the other day, and this person has 9 patents under her belt. She said, somebody is out there on the golf course in the afternoon, and it's not me. And why not? Why aren't I delegating the way that I need to be? And, that's a good lesson for all of us, is even if we're in the leadership role, that we should think about what we really need to be working on as business drivers and what we can delegate to other people. So that's a common pitfall. And the other pitfall that I'd really like to talk about is financially being supremely scared when your cash flow is tight. And obviously this is a critical concern for every business leader. But I'd like to invite the entrepreneurs out there to really reposition this in their minds as a creative time where they can look at other fast ways to bring in revenue. So what I'm thinking about is looking at short-run, high-volume, inexpensive add-ons to your service lines that can enhance your product offering without stretching your operational resources. So, we see this all the time, like hand sanitizers at Office Depot for sale, or lottery tickets at convenience stores, or people selling white papers on their websites, or other small downloads on other technology websites. It's just a way that we can get creative with what we're producing so that we can have money coming in a little bit faster and ease a little bit of that cash flow crunch.
Well, we were talking a little bit offline about the book Climb that was created by our friends at Women in Technology with your help and support, released your 7th book. And there was a conversation about shortcuts and helping hands, and there's a whole lot of people in that book that have been entrepreneurs, right?
Absolutely. And I talked a little bit ago about delegating some work, and also about having an advisory board. It's really important to have mentors. It's really important to have examples. It's really important to study what has been done, not only in your industry, but in similar industries or industries in your supply chain, so that you can learn from the mistakes of others. Especially as an entrepreneur, you don't want to make mistakes if you don't have to. And if you can avoid them by reading and learning from others, that's a great way to do it. So one of my recommendations was going to be read that Klein book, because we've profiled some amazing participants in our technology community, and several of them, as you said, are entrepreneurs. Josette Fletcher is a serial entrepreneur. Not only did she found Jigsaw Meeting with Ginger Ackerman, but she also founded RPM, which won several new business accolades, and she has just done equally well with Jigsaw Meeting. Joan Herbig, I'm sure you know Tina. She is a TAG board member. She found Control Scan and has had several CEO positions with other small and startup companies, a definite serial entrepreneur, as well as Marcy McCarthy, who has Tech Exec Networks. She's just a fantastic resource, and I would really encourage everyone not only to read her story, but reach out to her to see if she can connect you with other people in her executive network that are in your service line or your industry to help you learn and help you get some advisors for your advisory board.
Well, those are all good pieces of advice, and oftentimes we also see people that are entrepreneurs that are focused on their product or service, bringing something to market, and probably have not worked as much on the art form, if you will, of making those connections, whether that means productive networking or just listening or surrounding themselves with people that have been through it. So that's great advice for our listeners. Switching gears a little bit, but let's talk about success. How as a business owner, have you measured success?
Well, this is my fifth venture, as I've said, and through my different businesses, I've measured success different ways. There was a time in my life, in my younger life, where it was all about making the money. And that's always a viable goal, especially when you have dependents, people that really depend on you for their everyday livelihood. And as a single person, that's especially important. You're obviously paying your own bills. So I've looked at making money. I've looked at sharing at technical development when I've had an idea for something that would really enhance a technical community. I built around that and was a consultant for a while. Philanthropic contribution is another way that I've tried to measure my success. What can I do that can make a difference in the community, and what have I done that has made a difference? Those are really the three ways that I've tried to measure my business. But as I get older, I think about how many people did I hire, how many lives did I influence, what kind of legacy am I leaving, just to say that, I've had some experience starting a business, I've had some experience running a business, but what am I really teaching people, and what am I really leaving behind that other people can learn from and grow from because I'm a businesswoman?
Well, that's great advice. I have time for one more question, and we know you've talked a little bit about when you get in a business, what kind of things you're looking for. When is the best time to get out of a business?
Well, it depends what your goals are, obviously, and I've always recommended to people to try to form quantitative goals. Make sure that you have numbers behind them and what kind of scale you'd like to compete in and how long you'd really like to invest in this. Really trying to put your exit strategy together early is important. But when you set your goals to a quantitative number, you know when you're close to reaching them. And at that point, you need to understand if you need to reset the goals based on market need or your personal life, or if you need to get out. So you have options on exiting, such as selling your business, and I've sold two, or closing your business, and I've closed two, or just repositioning your business in the marketplace. And so I think that there are a lot of opportunities out there, and if you're not sure if you should get out of the business or not, that's when you really need to lean on your advisors. But chances are, if you feel it inside that it's time to move on, you're the one that's driving the business. You're the one that's supposed to have passion behind it, and if you think it's time, then it's probably time.
Well, Bonnie, congratulations on your success, and thanks for your wisdom that you've bestowed on our listening audience today, and thanks for joining me in Tech Talk.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.